sure, make somebody needs that.
Go ahead and call the Fort County Commission meeting to order. This will be meeting 2022-22. And we're going to start off with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. We have Reverend Ryan Osmus here from First Presbyterian Church. Lead us in prayer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. Please join me in prayer. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to gather as the commission goes through county business. I just pray that you be with each of the commissioners. I just pray that you give them wisdom as they make decisions on how best to guide the county. I also want to pray for all of the communities that comprise the county. I want to pray for the individuals that make up the county. Just ask that you bless those individuals, bless our communities, just guide and direct us in all we do. Lord, as I look around the room, I also know many of the staff members, so I just pray that you bless all the staff, all the departments. Just ask that you bless them in their work. Appreciate what they do. Just ask that you would guide and direct them. Be with the management team, all the departments, all of the individuals that make up the county workforce. We just thank them for what they do. They each have an important role to play, and we thank you for their work and striving to make our county a better place to live. So Lord, we just thank you, ask you for mercy and guidance. Ask that you prosper our county, our communities, our individuals, and may all that we do bring you honor and glory. It's in Christ's name that I pray. Amen.
Amen.
God bless everyone.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
So the first thing I want to do is actually make a motion to amend the agenda and be under the county administrator's report. We'll just do number 6 and call it the Western State Bank Expo discussion. So I make a motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
With a motion and second, I'll go and call a vote. All those in favor? Aye. All right, next up is the consent agenda. In front of us, we have the approval of meeting minutes 2022, approval of additions and abatements, and a proclamation for Dodge City's 150th anniversary. Okay. Thank you, Justin. Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you for having us. So I am the chair of the 150th Commission, so we do have a proclamation before us. Would you like me to read it?
Please, Megan.
Okay. Whereas on August 15th, 1872, a group of businessmen from Forts Dodge, Riley, and Leavenworth, Kansas, organized the Dodge City Town Company and began planning and development of the town site. And whereas in those early years, Dodge City became forever linked with the American West, with some of the greatest lawmen and scoundrels in history walking and prowling the streets of what would become known as the Queen of the Cowtowns. And whereas the pioneer spirit of early settlers saw Dodge City's ancestors through fires, blizzards, droughts, and floods that would have broken lesser folk, and before the railroad and the influx of cattle drives brought with them change to the economy and people. And whereas Dodge City's ancestors understood that there is no place on earth quite like Dodge City, and embraced the new way of the West by hosting a 300-mile-long motorcycle races, convinced Warner Brothers to hold the first world premiere of a film outside of Hollywood, and started Dodge City Days, a world-class community festival to honor and celebrate our Western heritage that has been running for more than 70 years, to name a few. And whereas over the last 150 years, The cowboy spirit has rebuilt Dodge into a vibrant and ever-changing city with over 2,800 residents representing over 30 different countries and nearly 2,000 local business owners that continue to grow and thrive. And whereas Dodge City looks forward to the years to come with growth and prosperity. And
Now therefore, I, Chris Boyce, Chairman, do proclaim August 15th, 2022 as Dodge City's 150th anniversary. Be it further resolved that Ford County, with the aid of the 150th Planning Committee, encourage all citizens to continue to participate in a celebratory events throughout the remainder of the year. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand this first day of August 2022. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, I will second that. And I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, up next is the approval of claims for payments. This is the amount of $363,988.73. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the claims.
One second.
Motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we come to the part of the meeting where it's open public comment. If anybody has anything they'd like to speak to the commission to, we already have a taker. 5 minutes per individual, 15 minutes per topic, and final action may be deferred until the next county commission meeting unless emergency situation does exist. Kent, welcome.
Thank you. Wanted to give you an update on a couple things. One was just heard about a famous law that entered in the proclamation, and we dedicated the statute. Commissioner Tassett was there, gave an eloquent speech,
Nice.
and we're appreciative of that. But we dedicated Pat Masterson in June, and everybody was there and had a good time, and he looks really good back in Dodge. So I wanted to bring that up. The other thing was we met with General Turner, who is the new head of the Veterans Affairs for the state of Kansas last week over at Fort Dodge for about 2 hours. Seems to be a very nice guy, and we're going to continue our talk with him in the Veterans Affairs about putting Fort Dodge on the National Register. He's the only fort out of 7 in Kansas that isn't on the register. So we want that to change, and we can also make available for grants that we can't otherwise if it's not on the register. So that was a good meeting. We had SHPO people there too from the Kansas Historical Society, and we all had about 20 people from the community, which was really great. And there's a lot of interest in this happening in 5 miles from Dodge City, and it's not really in the county, it's got its own zip code.
Nope.
But basically, it's 5 miles from Dodge City. And basically, that is a big tourist attraction and needs to get bigger in the years to come, and we can open it up further and do a lot of work with those buildings out there, because we always get comments about the buildings, and especially the officers' quarters, which we saved a couple of years ago, but haven't had the money to fix. But when we get on the register, we can get the grants like we use for the Home of Stone and other projects we've done to fund them when they're rehabilitated. Same with the depot. So I wanted to let you know we had that meeting, went well, and we'll be back talking to them in September.
Nice.
Very good.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ken.
Sir. This guy's good. Pay him.
Okay, looks like no other takers. We'll move on to unfinished business. KDOT's Economic Development Agreement. Yep, come on up. So I know we discussed this one and tabled it, and basically we're looking for language for the hold harmless side of it. They were requiring us to hold them harmless. We were expecting them to do the same.
Or at least asking.
Or at least ask them to, yes.
Yeah, and these, and John has probably has a lot more dealings with this than I do. But there are a couple of contracts. One is for this intersection work to be done, and it's a significant amount of money to be contributed by the state of Kansas. Motors has a contract that, deals with the side roads out here west of town as they build the 4-lane, and that's even more significant amount. And so, the contract was sent to me, and the thing that stuck out in my review of it was, the state does all the work. I mean, they do the design, they do the pre-construction design, they do the construction work, and they take care of right-of-way acquisition. They do all these things, and in the contract, it provides that Fort County will hold them harmless should there be any kind of claims made against the Secretary of Transportation, other than negligence or omissions by the Secretary of Transportation or some third party. Well, there's no like provision in there that if a claim is made against Fort County as a result of the work that they do, that Fort County would be held harmless or would be indemnified for any losses Fort County would have. And specifically, the state of Kansas has adopted a set of guidelines called the DA 146A, which lists the various different things that will appear in state contracts, and one of those provisions is that the state would not be required to provide indemnification as a part of their regular contract process. So all I did is, in my letter, I wanted to ask them, number one, if they would remove the indemnification provision as to Fort County, and if not, if they would create a mutual indemnification provision in terms of the county doing that, or indemnifying the state as well as the state indemnifying the county. In visiting with Sean, I don't know that that's actually been passed along to the state. I know, Chris, I don't know if you've talked with them. And so we've got this letter, we got this inquiry or concern, but I don't think it's been passed along to the state to even have them respond yet.
Okay.
So I was visiting with Sean before the meeting. I told him I'd be happy to give the state a call, talk with them. The information that came with the contract, providing contact information, was to people we in contact with. And I don't know if John has ever heard it. Have you ever had any issues with this from?
I can't say that I haven't had an issue with this particular language of this type of agreement. I've had dealings with other agreements with the state. Sometimes we're willing to amend the agreement, sometimes they're like, this is it, sign it or go.
Well,
So,
and you're talking
never
about,
passed.
and you're talking about a contract that has a significant benefit to Fort County. I mean, it's not like, okay, well, we just won't do it properly.
Right.
But I think the question ought to be asked to at least have some response from them as to why the contract is prepared that way.
Sure.
And I would add to that, Glenn, that the state has had a lot of turnover in their legal department, so it could be just that it was accidentally omitted. I mean, the language could have been there previously, so it's a worthy question to ask.
But also, I was looking at that contract over the weekend that you had sent to me some time ago, and it has the same provision, so I'm guessing it's a rather standard, gonna be a standard provision. So, if it's all right with the board, then I will contact them and just make that inquiry.
Yeah.
Right, I think so. And to help me understand this, so we're talking about work that largely the state is going to physically accomplish, is that correct? They're the ones doing the work.
Well, they're doing, yes, they're doing design, and you all know probably more than I do.
A bid process probably for the
Bid
road.
process.
They're bidding it, they're gonna administer the construction.
Yeah.
Everything.
And it's a $9.5 million estimated cost, and $7.6 million is being picked up by the state. So, I mean, it's an 80% share, 80-20 share. So, yes, but the state does virtually all of it.
And the indemnity they're referring to is regarding liability, and that would arise from that work. is that
Completion of the
correct?
product.
Out of the contract.
Am I to understand that the county would then be liable for,
Well, what they're saying is, or what I understand it to mean, is that if a claim is made against, let's say that something happens, the state sued, county sued, whoever else might be sued as well as part of it, that the county would actually protect the state of Kansas from any liability unless the reason for that claim and loss is the state's negligence. Okay, so we would have the obligation of defending the lawsuit. We would have the obligation of paying the loss if it wasn't the state's negligence that led to the claim. But that's what caught my attention. They're doing all the things that we should be concerned about in terms of liability.
Yep.
I mean,
Well,
you
that's-
know,
and that's what I'm trying to get my head around here is we have no protection
Correct,
in place here.
correct. And that's
on a
what's-
project that's 9 million or however much it is, that could be substantial, shouldn't it?
Certainly, and you're talking about intersections, I mean, you're talking about,
Moving vehicles,
yeah. and so
grain trucks.
Everything, and of course, all the contracts that I've seen with the Department of Transportation, all those kinds of high potential liability type claims. That's the nature of their work. So that's the concern that I had. Either there shouldn't be any indemnification provision, in other words, everybody stands on their own, that's why we buy insurance, they, whatever they do. And, we shouldn't be on the hook, in my opinion, for reimbursing them in the event the lawsuit's filed. Which could be substantial. So, with your permission, then I'll get a hold of them and then report back at you next week.
Yeah, so on this action, this will just be tabled until the next.
Table,
Yeah.
till the 15th.
Yeah. All right, I make a motion to table this till the next commission meeting.
I would second.
Glenn, so I'm clear, you're gonna ask on kind of both
Yes.
projects?
Yes.
So I'll hold on to anything.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion second, so I'll call the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Glenn. Okay, I'll turn over to county administrator's report.
First item we have is the Ford County Engineer Report.
John?
Good afternoon. A little warmer today than it was last week. I'm here to give an update of county engineer activities since I was here in July. Brief update on the Highway 50 4-lane expressway. They have changed dramatically since last time. The contractors continue to move forward with the same construction. Gray County, been out that way, is noticeably different. They got bigger jump starts as far as moving dirt, changing the look of the scenery out there. Ford County side, the contractors have mostly been working on tree removal, old fences and other debris to clear the way for starting that movement of earth. And I did see when I was out there last week, they had moved some, or started to build some of the box culverts. So they are starting to get started in Ford County, but it obviously takes time, taking a lot of water.
Takes a lot
So
of
it's
water.
pretty dry out there.
Yep. Do they have somewhere you can actually see how the lanes are gonna be set up? Like where it's gonna be together, where it's gonna be a split? Is there a site you go to look over these, or?
You know, I think when we started the design of the project, there was a website for the project specifically. I'm not sure if that's still up and running or not. It's been a long time since I looked at it.
Yeah.
That person, if they wanted to look, go to that ksdot.org, and on the main page, there's a T-Works, or I'm not sure if it's under Ike now. It was a T-Works project originally, it was with the old highway program. Prior to 2020. But there are different places to go to find project updates. So there might be under the T-Works tab, or I'll do some looking, I'll send you the link if I can find it, the project page.
It'd be nice to actually have something we could maybe put up on the link in ours.
In general, for the most part, it's gonna follow the existing highway.
Yeah.
But there are some areas where it's gonna be wider median than others.
I was surprised how much was divided highway. I mean,
Yeah, pretty much once you get past the Point of Rocks going west, it's gonna be divided from there to Cimarron.
It's amazing.
There's a curves coming into Cimarron, and it's gonna come back together right as you come into town, east side of Cimarron.
Okay.
So it is gonna be a called contiguous paved road from Dodge City to the Point of Rocks. KDOT did that, had their designers do that to minimize the impact to the Point of Rocks. They are gonna remove some of the rock from that outcropping, but not as much as if it was the bike highway at that point. Right, once you cross the west of there, it'll divide out, 8-foot median there.
Yeah. Okay. Very well.
So I think Ford County is most of like the dirt work you're seeing is for access roads there where the heavier density of the housing is at. There's gonna be access roads in front of the houses, so that's mostly what you're seeing there at this time until they get those box extensions completed, then they can backfill over those boxes and start building the road bed for the highway over the box culverts.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of activity out there, and this project completion currently is scheduled for the end of 2024, so it'll be going on through the next 2 years after this still. For the Helmar cheese plant, the road improvements for this facility, we're talking about the 112 road and Outlaw road improvements between highways 56 and 283. Kirk and Michael have been working on the construction plans for the 2 miles of county road improvements. And we are just getting ready to turn in what they call office check plans, which is about 95% complete plans for the county road improvements. That'll happen this week, and then KDOT will review those plans, provide us comments, and the objective is then to turn in 99% plans by the end of the month, in time to have it scheduled for bid letting in December, for construction to start in the spring. The last coordination call that I was participating in, it was reported that Hillmore's intention was to start moving around for the facility sometime this month of August.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see some activity out there. That'll make it real for everybody.
Yeah.
The low water crossing project on 127 road between Kettle and Marshall, we have gotten all the permit requests submitted. The Corps of Engineers permit request was submitted July 22nd, and they immediately responded to acknowledge receipt and said it would take 45 to 60 days to process that permit in its entirety. So somewhere around middle of September, maybe the end of September, we should have all permits back in hand and we can start talking about advertising that project for bid for construction. The paved roads resurfacing project, we are currently working on the construction plans to resurface 113 Road from Comanche Street north to US 50. I brought preliminary plans with me today. Chris and I drove the corridor, talked about some different aspects of the project, how we want to get it built. Talked with the fire chief, also about access for EMS services. And so gave him a heads up, and we're looking at bidding this project maybe in September. We'll see how quick we get final plans and specs ready, possibly October. And I'm pretty confident with contractors' schedules that they're booked for the year. So we're talking about bidding the project this late summer, early fall, but we're talking about construction in 2023 sometime. And that'll give contractors plenty of time, not just with their schedule, but materials, sand and rock. They're running out of materials. Oil's pretty well running out for the year. So I just don't think anybody would be able to do this project this year yet. But we'll have it bid this fall and ready to go for next year. Then as we move on, we'll talk about planned bid for next year. We want to go to 102 Road again, or look at the south half of 113 Road. We go either way. Off System Bridge 97, which is on 134 Road, south of Jewel Road, on the Coon Creek. We are working on the preliminary plans for that, the bridge replacement project. The bridge was awarded funds from KDOT through the local bridge improvement program. It's a reimbursement program. We would replace the existing bridge with a single span steel beam. And the intent is to let that project to bids next year, so the 2023 budget. Jewel Road Reclamation Project in 2021. When I put these notes together last week, I did not have any updates for the commission, but today I had a conference call with Terracon and the materials testing company that they have employed to test the cores that were extracted from the asphalt. That company has gotten their preliminary results on the cores and is generating a report. He said he should be able to have his report done by August the 12th, which will be a week from Friday then. Terracon will evaluate that report and have all the information ready for us. Projected date is by the end of August, so it's going to provide an update that we're making progress there to have that information by the end of this month. Where we go from here. The 123 road timber culvert, that timbers were failing and needing a replacement. We are working on getting the permits put together so we can get those submitted this week. That project could be completed this winter. Glenn covered the highway access road maintenance agreement with KDOT, so I'll skip over that one. Can't remember if I have reported on this last month. The passing lane projects in Ford County on Highway 50, I believe they were originally scheduled to be bid in August by KDOT. They've been pushed to October. So they'll be a little bit later, and kind of like with the 113 road that they bid in August, the contractors won't be able to work on them, I'm sure, until next year anyway. So they'll get those bids, looks like, and have them ready for construction next year. Iron Star Wind Farm, I believe Kristen Road Bridge is waiting for one final payment from Iron Star. And then that should be ready to close out that road use maintenance agreement.
It's pretty exciting, actually. We're getting to the end.
Yeah, it's always, it seems like those projects, once they get rolling, it's exciting, and then it seems like it just takes a long time. And they are big projects, they do take long, so it's good to get wrapped up. Pioneer Creek, quick update on that is that Ford County was notified they're gonna have a change in project managers. So where they were hoping to bring their conditional use permit to the county in September, it said it's probably gonna be delayed by a few months. So maybe late 22, early 2023 is what we're expecting now to come back with that revised conditional use permit. Still have not heard anything from the Green Belt Express power line project. Like several different counties in the last 30 days, and nobody's heard anything on that project in the recent past. So we don't know where that sits. A couple new business items to bring up. I didn't have on my notes here, but it's been had, I guess, during mid-meeting here. There was a request brought up a few weeks ago anyway, about the potential for renaming 112 Road and Outlaw Road, where we're going to be improving those two roads for the Hillmar cheese plant. We requested, or the idea was presented, I should say, or not a request. The idea was presented to rename that 2-mile stretch of road to Hillmar Way. It's called WAY. The question arose in that Ford County had a policy that roads that have the ending of the way, originally the road naming was done for 911 purposes, was meant to imply roads that would start at the 3/4 mile line. So only the roads that had the name way in them would start at the 3/4 mile line. So the question was just asked, would that be a problem if 2 miles were named way? I believe the city is interested in naming their portion of that road Hillmar Way. We've been out with
How do they spell way?
WAY. Not like the.
That's why I was like,
No.
why would they go the way of the, that'd be clever. Then we wouldn't have this issue.
WAGY.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did run it by Chief Boyd, and he said he didn't think that'd be an issue for EMS services. if they said Hillmore, they
As
probably
long
would
as
know.
that's the only street named Hillmore or anything in the whole county, I'm good. Then it gets confusing if you start adding Hillmore Place or whatever, then it starts getting confusing.
Yeah.
So to make it official, it would require a city ordinance on the city's portion of the road, they're taking over they're taking over part of 112, and then the remainder would be county.
Yeah.
So that would require a county resolution to name the rest of the Hillmore Way. So wanted to just share that with you all, and
So who floated the idea?
I believe it came from Hillmore, is what I heard from the city. But they said, and we asked about the spelling, they said.
We got a creative audience here. I mean, we've come up with some good names.
So we'll confirm that, and if the city is planning to go forward with it on their end, we can draft a resolution to present to the commissioners.
Yeah.
It matters what order it goes in, I don't know. We can make sure the city's going to go through with it before the county.
Match all the pockets.
At least they go through it together, however these work. The other item, KDOT did last week open up project applications to their local bridge improvement program and their off-system bridge program again. And going back to off-system bridge 97 is getting funding through this local bridge improvement program. On top of Chris, there's a couple different off-system bridges that would, off-system bridges that would fit that program well. There's also they're efficient bridges that are posted for pretty low loads. I think they're both posted at 11 tons. And they would fit well with this program if the KDOT were to award them funds. Because of the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, the federal bill, KDOT has more money than they have in past years, so they're planning to award more projects or maybe bigger projects. They've upped the financial contribution of KDOT quite significantly. And so we are interested in submitting the off-system Bridge 101. Probably made an error by not writing out where these are located at, but off-system 101 and off-system 50.
101 is 135 between Garnet and Horseshoe, and 50 is 120 just south of Saw Log there, south of Warner Range.
135 between Garnet.
It's that old haunch concrete where the road kind of goes up over it.
That one was built in 1930, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah, and the other one was 35.
So they're both 85, 90-year-old bridges. Currently, they've changed their formula for the funding. It's based on population density for this KLVIP program. And looking at their criteria, it looks like the cost share would be potentially up to 85% state, 15% county for construction and construction inspection services on these bridges. And they said the maximum limit has not yet been determined on the KLVIP. It's going to be dependent on how many projects get submitted for the program. So I think they've got 50% or maybe nearly double the amount of money that they typically have in this program. So there's a good chance the county would get selected for at least one of them, possibly both. We would be looking at probably 2024 construction. County got a fair amount of bridge work going next year already, so looking forward to the future. Replace a couple more efficient bridges. And of course, if they are selected, the state will send a funding agreement for the commissioners to review and sign and see if there's similar provisions for activity in there. Maybe make some headway by that time.
I hope so.
So that is the conclusion of my report for today. Is there any questions?
It's a lot.
A lot going on. I've got 2 full pages. If I get any more, I'll go to page 3.
Yep.
Start finishing some of these things up.
Any more questions?
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. You have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your day.
Thank you.
establishment of a dairy production facility.
And this is resolution,
I believe it's 27, but I don't know that you sign it here. I think this is something that's over in here.
Are you talking about the bioscience and the title and the information are not jiving with each other? So if the resolution in front of you is for the dairy, for us to have dairies, we can do that here, the biosciences.
But I don't have that information.
You have the bioscience,
I
right?
have bioscience.
That's because the other one hasn't been drafted.
Yeah, so I guess you can ask us more questions about the bioscience certificate if you want to right now, or you can just move on from this one and wait to deal with it in the joint meeting.
It'll be presented to the joint meeting.
And bioscience one.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
dairy
those-
production facility, that's not even relevant right now. is it?
Not right now, it will be, yes, but not today.
okay, we can move on.
Next
Go down
up,
to 3.
Southwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging Subregion Council. According to the Southwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging bylaws, county commissions appoint individuals to serve on the subregion council. Each county has 3 individuals that represent the county's interest in the aging network. Each person serves a 3-year term that begins October 1st. At this time, Megan McCann and Krista Salmons are serving on the sub-region, are eligible to be reappointed for an additional 3-year term. Ms. McCann has expressed interest in being reappointed for the additional term. Krista Salmons currently has not returned messages to state whether or not she wants to continue. The current member serving on the sub-region now is Sandra Herder. The suggested motion is to approve Megan McCann for an additional 3-year term on the sub-region council of the Southwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Megan McCann for an additional 3-year term.
I'll second that. Okay, with the motion second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
So next item we have is revenue neutral rate mailing notice.
Gentlemen, I wanted you to be aware of what will be going out in the mail August 8th. This is the revenue neutral rate information that we are required to send out now. And I wanted you to see what that looks like. I spent many long days and weekends working on that, because it does have to be out 10 days before the hearings. So I've had some entities that were gonna have their hearings August the 20th, so they will be going out August the 8th. You will be receiving those for each parcel of land that you have. And they're very easy to understand.
Yeah.
And everyone in the county will get those from every taxing entity.
We'll get them from each taxing entity.
They will be compiled on this. I had to compile every taxing entity. If you have property in another county, you will get it from those counties also.
Get a bigger mailbox.
Yeah. I'm mailing out over 20,000 just in Ford County.
And there's a reimbursement of this to you, correct?
This year and next year, the state will reimburse After that, we're supposed to charge each taxing entity, but they have not told us how we're gonna do that yet.
Are you forced to send these out if just one of the entities changes? So at this point, USD 443 has changed.
The schools will always have to have their R&R hearing, because their revenue neutral rate on their general obligation is always gonna be different than what their 20 mils are, and that has to stay 20 mils.
Yeah.
This has changed so many times since they've started it, and originally, we did not have to put, last year, we didn't do the mailings. We were told we wouldn't have to put on anyone that was not going over the revenue neutral rate. This year, they wanted us to put that on there. To give the proposed mill levy, whether it went over or not. And then we put on the dates and times and locations of their budget hearings and R&R hearings.
Those have to be, you said, 10 days after that's made.
They have to be 10 days before their R&R hearing.
Before the hearing.
Yes, and the first one I have is August 20th, so these are being mailed out August the 8th. Hopefully there'll be some changes made after these go out for next year,
Sure.
because it's been a struggle for the software companies, for the clerks, for everyone, to understand what these are and how it's supposed to work.
I noticed we had sponsors of the
Yes,
bill.
this is costing about almost $13,000 to do this now.
Just our county.
Just our county.
And for example, like on here, you see a difference in a community college, so if they were the only ones changing, you would still have to spend the 13 to send it to everybody in the
Yes.
county. Okay, got it. All right, anything else? Thank you.
The next item is upcoming meetings. Joint public hearing, Santa Fe Depot, August 1st at 5:30 PM. Primary election, 2022, August 2nd, 7 AM to 7 PM. Canvass of votes, August 8th at 9 AM. Dodge City Days, Code of the West, July 28th through August 7th, 2022. Roundup Rodeo, August 2nd through August 7th. And the next item would be the Western State Bank Expo, continuing that discussion.
So we were asking for clear direction for the Western State Bank Expo on advertising, naming rights, marketing, branding of the building, facility. So I think for clear direction,
I just say we authorize Danielle and county administrator to be able to reestablish communications with Western State Bank and see where they're at with this. And we can make decisions from here to then. suit you.
Yeah, that's a motion.
If it needs to be an action item, I'll make that motion.
Sure. And I'll second it, and then I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have nothing further.
Yep. All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
And second.
And I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.